out, do your...
You can just, yeah.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Leasing Highway. This podcast is all about the heartbeat of the apartment industry, and we're presented by the Apartment Association of Metro Denver. I'm Ian Andrews.
Hello, and I'm one of your other hosts, Karen Gladney. And today, we're so excited. Today we have Janelle French, Executive Vice President at Mission Rock and past president of the Apartment Association of Metro Denver. Janelle, we couldn't be more thrilled to have you. I'll turn it over to you to share your introduction, your background, your story, and get us started.
Awesome. Well, I'm Janelle French. I'm the Executive Vice President with Mission Rock Residential. I celebrated 9 years yesterday with Mission Rock Residential. So interesting that we're having this podcast today.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Prior to that, I was with Fairfield Residential for approximately 9 years. And prior to that, I was with Carmel Properties for nearly 10 years. So I got my start in the industry 10 years ago as a leasing consultant. So
awesome. Well, yeah, we're super excited to have you, and wanted to really start out by asking you just to expand a little more on your rise to where you are today, and what role you started in, and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. I started in the industry as a leasing consultant. My husband and I, we moved here years and years ago from South Dakota. We moved to Denver looking for more opportunities. And as we were looking for an apartment, I was inspired by the leasing consultant and thought, I can do that. So I got out the newspaper. I applied to an ad that they were recruiting for a leasing consultant for. And it's interesting how those connections get made. The person that interviewed me just happened to be from South Dakota. So we connected, and needless to say, I got the job. And so I started as a leasing consultant with Carmel Properties, and I advanced through the ranks. I held every position that there was to hold in the office side of our business. So I was an assistant manager, a property manager, and I managed multiple communities within that company. And one day, my regional supervisor, she moved on to another company. And when they had a regional manager position open up, she gave me a call and said, would you be interested in a regional position? And so that's when I moved on to Fairfield, and I was with Fairfield for 9 years as a regional manager and a senior regional manager. And I had a portfolio of tax credit communities, value add, lease up construction, and I managed a couple of different markets, including Denver and Seattle. And then one of the initiatives, this is interesting too, that Fairfield had, during my tenure there, was they asked all of us to get involved in our local apartment association. And Fairfield wasn't very active in the apartment association there, so I decided to get my feet wet and become more active in the apartment association. And that's where I met Meredith Wright. And so not too long after that, while they were forming Mission Rock, Meredith called and asked if I would be interested in making a move. And so I joined the Mission Rock team in 2012. And when I joined the team there, we had one client, and we're onboarding approximately 15,000 units for that client. And in 2014, we started to add other clients, and today we have 29,000 units. We're in 17 different states, and I think it's 10 clients that we manage for now. So that has afforded me the opportunity to have my current position as the executive vice president over our central region. So I cover Colorado, all across the Front Range, from Fort Collins to Colorado Springs, and also Kansas and Missouri. So,
My goodness, talk about just hearing your story, it sounds like a PhD in property management. Just from like every role that you've had, and to the different asset types, right? That you've been a part of or overseen or worked with. And then to talk about relationships and the importance of those. I mean, that's clear in your journey.
Yeah. It's interesting how things work out. You know, you can't take anything for granted. Every connection that you make can be important in your life.
For sure. Well, and for you, I mean, this journey, you mentioned the apartment association, you know, and that you got involved in, and that engagement with the apartment association took you all the way to president. You became president of our apartment association. And I think what's so fascinating, and what I'd love for you to talk about it, is you were inducted as the president during a pandemic. And your entire presidency ended up being, you didn't know that when you got inducted, but talk a little bit about leading the fifth largest, I believe we're the fifth largest apartment association in the country during COVID.
Yeah, I mean, you actually touched on something. When I was inducted as the president for the apartment association, at that time, I didn't see the pandemic lasting for as long as it did, or it has. I mean, we're obviously still in it. And so I never pictured that lasting throughout my presidency and beyond. So when I started as the president, I had three things that I wanted to accomplish with my presidency. And one was get more involvement from our on-site team members. I feel like they are our future of this industry, and they can add so much value and insight to what our industry is facing because they're on the ground. And so that was one of my primary goals for my presidency. The other one was continued focus on the legislative issues that have plagued our industry over the last several years. And then thirdly, was we had established the COVID crisis task force, and to kind of get us through the initial unsettlingness of the pandemic. And so to just kind of shift focus from that to looking at what our new normal was going to look like as an industry. And I feel like we just did an amazing job doing that, but it really was a day-by-day experience. In my lifetime, I've never seen something like you have to take it day by day. It wasn't something you could plan for, because the next day there was a change. And as the president of the Apartment Association, I would say that the thing for me that was most eye-opening was the volunteers, the value and the power behind a volunteer. And I always knew that the Apartment Association was made up of volunteers, but as the president, you got to see it on a more granular level. And I think it probably was maybe even more heightened during COVID, of the group of talented leaders that we have within the Apartment Association that are so passionate about this industry. It really did move us forward and make us successful. And you just see the power behind being a volunteer for our industry. And, you know, when you're a volunteer and you're on a committee, you see your one little committee.
Right.
And as the president, I had broader insight into the industry as a whole and what each individual is contributing. And so it was very eye-opening. So for me, I would say that's what came out of it. It was kind of one day at a time, and then look back and see how successful, the year was. So
That's really neat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just goes to show you, I think just the network that the association has created over the years, and a time of really crisis, and when everyone is looking to the apartment association and to you as the president for answers, how it really just paid off for all the years of just establishing such a high participation rate amongst the community. It really allowed for some pretty streamlined communication. I think helped a ton of management companies figure out how to operate. And, for someone like yourself, not only having to do it for, the apartment association, but your own organization as well, and maintain, really a pretty chaotic period on both sides was quite the task. And you did such a phenomenal job there.
Thank you. It was really awesome to see our industry, the metro area pull together, and those crisis task force, the policies, the procedures, the new normal that actually came out of those meetings, and how we all pulled together and shared our experiences, shared our successes, what was being successful, what we were having success with. It was an amazing time, and I feel grateful to have been a part of it.
Yeah. The other thing I think that when I look back, and I think will resonate with you, having literally had almost every position in the industry, is that it's just unbelievable how everyone, without really having expectations or knowing exactly what to do, just figures it out. You never, in multifamily, you really never know what a day is going to be like. And so that ability to just say, okay, take it as it comes and adapt accordingly, I think for everyone was amazing. And really, will lead into my next question here, which is, what's a day in the life of Janelle French like? And, if you had I guess, what would your real title be if you could name it? And want to get to that, but right before you answer here, let's take a quick break, and then we'll get it right on the other side here.
Sounds great.
Welcome to your beautiful new apartment home here at Gables Point 14. As you can see, we're featuring this beautiful one-bedroom den.
Welcome back. So yeah, Janelle, what's a day in the life like?
A day in the life. That's one of the things about property management that I love the most, is that there's never a day that's the same. So one day I might be an analyst. I might be looking over, a pro forma and analyzing the numbers and looking at the numbers to see what we need to do to either change those numbers, make them better, Another day, I might be a mentor. I might be mentoring someone in the field and bringing them up, or a trainer. Another day, I might be a counselor. I might be counseling, talking somebody off the ledge. There is never a dull moment in property management, and that's what I love about it. So to explain a day would be a challenge, because there's never a day that's the same. So I don't know what my title would be, to be completely honest. I don't know what that would be, but I can say that I do like that there's no one day that's the same.
I feel like it's the juggler.
It is a job. That's very true. You have to be able to multitask and prioritize and
Right.
Be relatable to people, in so many different ways. So it's a fun industry to be in.
It is. We're so lucky. On that note too, Janelle, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges for the industry right now that we face going forward, and your thoughts on tackling those?
Yes, I think I'd like to just talk a little bit about the most immediate challenge I feel like we're facing right now, and that is the labor shortage. I mean, I know that we've talked in great length about the Great Resignation, but it's a real thing, and it's reality right now. And I think all industries are facing this challenge of the labor shortage. And as far as tackling those challenges, I think there are some pretty obvious things that everybody's doing with that, and that is like increasing wages, being more flexible with schedules, things like that. But I think when it gets down to it, there are a couple of things that can happen. And one of them would be looking at your existing team members and putting your focus on retaining the people that you have. And not everybody's motivated by the same thing, right? So some finding out down to each individual person what motivates them, so that we can create a culture that is where everyone can flourish.
Yep.
From on-site reporter all the way up to, the people who run our accounting departments, and can feel valued and supported and like they belong. So I think that is one way that we can attack this. And the other way is looking at the workforce that's out there and asking those same questions. What are they looking for? Where do they see themselves fitting? Making sure that we're creating an environment where that workforce that's out there feels like they belong and have a place to fit within our organization. And then just working on that experience from the onboarding process all the way through, and creating milestones for them throughout their career with our organization. And I often think about it like back in the day when we were leasing and renewing, we would have like the life cycle of a resident. So we would have these different milestones where we would reach out to them over the course of their residency on the property. And I often relate our team members to that, making sure that we're recognizing them on those important milestones with their career, finding out what's important to them with their career, and trying to help them get there to succeed. So making sure we're building our bench strength too, but not just for us, for them. So I think those are some ways that we can attack this labor shortage in keeping the people we have.
Great points.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, everyone in every industry has been impacted by this so much. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, really being in your position, and just kind of seeing that disconnect that there is sometimes between that on-site team to the culture and vision of the corporate office, and I'm curious on your side, you talked a little bit about it there, of like, how do you bridge that so that, when you're getting these people in on the front lines, that they're connected to not just, that job right there, but what is the bigger vision of the company and the community that they're a part of?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. And it starts with the onboarding experience, and there has to be a variety of different ways to communicate and get in front of every individual. We have what we call a rockstar hello. When our first team, when one of your first day, we have a rockstar hello, and everybody, all of the leaders in the corporate office have the opportunity to join that rockstar hello and welcome the new team members. So that's just one way that we can connect with them to get them started. But there has to be a variety of different communication platforms so that we're reaching all of our team members on a consistent basis, not just on the onboarding day, but throughout the course of the year, that we're communicating with them consistently and creating that environment of value for them.
Yeah, that like you said, their employment journey, so to speak,
right?
And making sure you have those touch points to connect the messaging. And speaking of messaging, I think it's fascinating. You work with a company with a lot of strong minds and just powerful professionals. So you're, as you think about that and share advice to other people, because that can feel intimidating. How do you share your voice within a group of such strong minds and professionals?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm definitely not the loudest person when we get into a meeting. So for me, it's more about timing. So making sure that it's a right time to put my voice out there, and making sure that I come with real life scenarios to back up a position.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can talk a lot, not say much. So my philosophy is talk less, say a lot.
That's a good philosophy. I think we all should learn from.
Yeah, so I think it's more about timing than anything. So knowing when the appropriate time is to raise up a challenge or push through an initiative. So that, I guess, is how I would answer that.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, let's take one more quick break here, and then we'll dive into a few more questions about mentors and what you're like outside of work. So
okay,
we're right back.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks.
Introducing Remote Lock Universal Access Control. Remote Lock lets you manage any lock, from smart locks to hardwired access control systems, securing every door from the main entrance to the rooftop patio. And you get to choose from the best top-of-the-line smart locks out there, from brands like Yale, Schlage, Kwikset, August, Mercury, and many more. Now you can configure and add access at the push of a button and set up customized schedules for each and every user, all within a matter of minutes. It even works with property management and booking software like Airbnb, Guesty, Entrata, RealPage, and more. With Remote Lock, you'll finally have a future-proof solution that controls all your properties around the world from a single, easy-to-use platform. Let Remote Lock be the last access control partner you'll ever need.
Hey, welcome back. One question that we like to ask everyone here: who have been some of your biggest influencers or mentors throughout the years?
My number one influencer is my dad. So he taught me always do the right thing. Always do the right thing. work hard and always do your best, and you will do fine. And that is very, very true. So thank you to my dad. And then currently, my current leaders, Pat Hutchison and Meredith Wright, they are two of the most brilliant women that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And it would take more time than we have today to list off all of the ways that they have influenced me in my career. But I will say this, they're both brilliant, they're both passionate, and it comes with a balance of care. So in spite of the passion and brilliance, you always know you're cared for. And so that, I would say, are a tribute to both of them and what they have, part of what they've taught me and encouraged me through the years. So Pat and Meredith, thank you very much. And then lastly, Bernadette Tanberg. I worked with Bernadette early on. She gave me my first leasing position and also my first regional manager position. So in a way, she allowed me to be seen in this industry. So thank you to Bernadette Tanberg. So,
Oh, Janelle, that's beautiful.
oh, thank
It's
you.
a wonderful group of people that you work with, and obviously the support of your dad
Yeah.
has meant a lot, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's flip this a little bit and get a little personal with you.
Okay.
What do you say is your secret talent?
Well, I don't know that I would call this a talent, but I think I have a natural gift to be patient and also not get to stay calm in a crisis. So I feel like I've never really been one to get overly excited when there's a challenge. I have a tendency to be able to stay calm and, calm down the people around me. And so if I were going to say that, that's what I would say, is that
I think it's a talent.
and the ability to remain calm in some of the more difficult situations.
Absolutely. What about, what do you like to do outside of work?
Outside of work. Well, I'm a pretty simple person. I love being outside, like I said before. I love spending time with family and friends. Being with my close family and friends fills me up. It's very rewarding to me. So I spend a lot of time with my friends and family. I'm a runner, so I like to run and ride motorcycle with my husband as a passenger. So that serves as a dual purpose. I get to see outside and enjoy the scenery, and also ride motorcycle with him. Yeah.
Those are all good. It's funny when you ask people outside of work, it's like, what is there outside of work? Wait a minute.
I know. Exactly.
Let me think about that.
Yeah.
What's that look like?
Yeah.
I did not know you rode motorcycles. That's really neat.
Yes, it's fun.
And such a cool view. Okay, so here's some fun favorites. We're going to rapid fire these.
Okay.
So,
All right.
favorite vacation spot?
The Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico.
Ooh. Favorite food?
Almost any Mexican dish, like enchiladas, I would say.
That would go with your first answer, too. So,
Right. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
I feel like I should guess this next one, but favorite adult beverage?
Margarita on the rock with salt.
We're on a theme. Favorite concert or band or both?
Yeah, there are two concerts that I feel are my favorite. Elton John and Garth Brooks when he came out of retirement. So those are two of my most favorite concerts.
I've heard those are incredible.
Yeah.
Favorite book or movie?
Movie. I'll go with movie. My favorite, I have a couple of favorite movies. My Cousin Vinny. I can watch that movie over and over and laugh every time out loud. So I love that movie. And then The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock. Yeah, love that too.
So good. Favorite holiday?
Christmas. I love all of the sparkle of Christmas, and I love the spirit of Christmas. It's my favorite.
How soon do you start decorating?
I'm not one of those fanatics that start like before Halloween or something. It's usually the day after Thanksgiving. I put up my Christmas stuff and I take it down faithfully right after the first of the year. But I love the Christmas season. So,
That's a good one. It's my favorite.
yeah.
All right. Well, so one last question here, which is, what advice would you give to someone just starting out in the industry?
Stick with it. It's well worth it. There may be challenges that come, but look for the gold nugget in those challenges and stick with it.
Awesome. Great.
Wonderful.
Advice.
Janelle, this has been such a pleasure. You're so wonderful and great always. And just thank you for what you do for our industry and for all that you give to your team, all of us. You're a treasure. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me today. It means a lot. You guys are doing great things out there. So thanks
you.
again.
Wonderful. Thanks.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.